Every court, every jurisdiction has its own rules. Hays County is no different, and today we're going to be talking about some of the idiosyncrasies that you get when you have a criminal charge in Hays County. My name is Rob Chestnut. I'm a criminal defense attorney based in Austin, and we handle cases in Travis, Williamson, and Hays County. So I'll talk a little bit about Hays County differs from some of the other jurisdictions in Texas. And one of the things we need to talk about is right now in 2024, there's a blue wave going down into Hays County, people moving from Austin, turning Hays from a very, very red jurisdiction to a blue jurisdiction, and the whole county, including the courts, are sort of dealing with this transition. So let's talk about how that tension affects criminal court cases. So first of all, you should know there's a new elected district clerk who is fresh out of high school. This is a very strange situation. Usually the clerks are people who are older and have a lot of experience. They've been experienced with the court before. This is a person who had zero experience with the court, and that has caused some tension. He filed a lawsuit against the district attorney, which is very problematic, and he ended up withdrawing that. But obviously there is some tension there between the DA and the clerk, and one of the consequences of that I've seen is it takes a very long time for cases to get going. I don't know the actual ins and outs and the reasons for that, but especially misdemeanors in Hays County are sitting in the court system without being filed for 6, 7, 8, 9 months. And while that's going on, the defendants are waiting sometimes without any word from the court. And if you don't have an attorney who's monitoring the situation, it can be problematic, because when they send that letter and you finally do get a court date, if you miss that letter, that could end up in a warrant. So it's not a great situation from that perspective. But if you do have an attorney that is monitoring the situation and you can be confident that you're not going to get a warrant, it can be okay to let the case sit for a while, because that can actually be beneficial for the defendant and can help in a lot of ways when it comes to either plea negotiations or if you go to trial. If those witnesses have moved on or if they can't locate them, this can be beneficial for the defendant. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, but if you are in that situation where you're waiting for your case, you don't know what's going on, just be sure you either have an attorney monitoring that or that you yourself are monitoring the court docket so that you don't miss when you do finally get a court date. And a related issue to that is it takes longer to get discovery. The discovery is the evidence like the police report, body cam footage, dash cam footage, or any other evidence that they have that they're going to turn over to the defense attorney. In most jurisdictions, I get that discovery relatively quickly. Within 2 or 3 weeks, I'll have most of the discovery there. Sometimes the videos take a little longer. But in Hays County, they're waiting until pretty close until that day where you get that court date before they're turning over that discovery. And that can be an issue sometimes if you need that discovery for other related matters. Sometimes you want that discovery for issues outside of your criminal court case. And that can be a lot of things. It can be a family court case or custody battle. A lot of reasons that you would want to view that discovery. And in Hays County, there's really no way to get that discovery until you're really close to that court date. So it's just one of those things. A lot of times it doesn't matter. Sometimes it does. And in Hays County, you're not getting it for months. Third, Hays County is still more likely to prosecute drug charges. Now in San Marcos, just like in Austin, they've decriminalized marijuana, so they're not going to be arresting you for marijuana. But if you do find yourself with a drug charge in Hays County, they are far more likely to prosecute than they are in Travis County. In Travis County, they view drug charges a lot of times as a mental health issue, and they're looking for ways to sort of dismiss those cases if they can. But in Hays County, they will take you to trial on a drug charge. So just be aware, if you are facing drug charges, you would rather be facing them in Travis, where they're viewing it as a mental health issue, than in Hays County, where they're going to prosecute. Next, Hays County is far less likely to offer pretrial diversion. I think they do offer it in some cases. I think it's rare, but pretrial diversion is a way to actually get your case dismissed pretrial. In Travis County, virtually every minor DWI is given the opportunity to go into diversion, as well as some other minor misdemeanors. Hays County, you can't really count on that. It's far less likely that you're going to get a pretrial diversion offer in Hays County. Next, once you do get a court date, you're going to have far more in-person court dates. Travis County is a little bit more progressive as far as having either Zoom court dates or allowing the defendant to waive appearance while the attorney has to go in, which gives us a chance to work out the details of a plea agreement before you're constantly coming to court every single month. In Hays County, they don't really do that. Once you get a court date, you can expect to be going in person every single month until your case is done. They're not really flexible about that, and if you miss court, that's a warrant. And lastly, if you do get convicted and placed on probation or deferred adjudication in Hays County, you're going to be dealing with Hays County probation, and I found them to be extremely unresponsive. I think they're very overworked, but in addition to that, they have an attitude that they don't need to communicate, even with attorneys. I've had difficulty reaching probation officers for my client as the attorney. In other counties, they're very responsive to attorneys, not always to the defendants. But I can generally, if there is a snag or if they are thinking about revoking a probation, I can usually get in touch with them and mitigate it. In Hays County, I'll leave messages after messages, and they just don't return those calls. They don't return emails. And the first time I have a chance to talk to them is when we're in court on a probation revocation sometimes. So for that reason, I advise my clients, if there's a way for them to have residency outside of Hays County and get that probation moved to a different county, it's often the best way to go. Sometimes you can't do that. If you're living in Hays County, it goes based on your place of residence. So there's no way to avoid. But if you do have the unfortunate circumstance of dealing with Hays County probation, just be aware that it's going to be a difficult time. Over communicate with them if you can. Make sure you have documentation for your attempts at communication. If you left a voicemail, also send it as an email so that you have that written documentation as well. And that's how I would deal with Hays County, because you can't really trust them to be communicative with you. So that's Hays County. ATX Legal handles cases there, as well as Travis and Williamson County. If you've been charged with a crime, give us a call or visit our website, and we can offer you a free 30-minute phone consultation.